Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Kenyans are very bitter and Kenyans are angry. Kenyans are angry and bitter with their government and with William Samoei Arap Ruto in particular. And Kenyans are expressing their anger publicly through protest. And I've also noted that Kenyans, especially the young generation, are also extending that bitterness and anger towards Raila Odinga. And because of that, Raila Odinga was forced to issue a statement yesterday, which I analyzed here. And yesterday again, Raila Odinga made a threat that he might pull out of his bid of becoming the chair of the African Union Commission. Let me just read for you what Raila Odinga is quoted to have said and shared by none other than Raila Odinga Jr., the son. This is what Raila Odinga is quoted to have said. I am ready to forgo my AUC ambitions for the sake of my country if this is being used to manipulate me at the expense of the quest for a better and a stable country. I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, some 2 or 3 questions. The first question I want to ask you, do you think Raila Odinga should continue with his bid of becoming the next chair of the African Union Commission? Yes or no? Okay. Or do you think Raila Odinga should pursue his interest of becoming the chair of the African Union Commission, but forget about the local politics? Or do you think Raila Odinga should wait and contest for the presidency in 2027? And do you think the young generation, the Gen Zs, will support his bid in 2027? I want to read your response to that. Because in this video, I want to explain to you guys why Raila Odinga is kind of surrendering his bid as a result of the pressure from the Generation Z. But before you do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But again, before I dive in, allow me to also introduce you guys to Lemfi. Lemfi is a mobile money app for users in the UK, Canada, and the United States of America to send money to Kenya. They offer the best exchange rates, and the money will be delivered directly into your M-Pesa account, Airtel Money account, and if you want, directly into your bank account. You can use the link in the pinned comment to download the app. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think Raila Odinga is kind of now reconsidering his bid? Of course, let me revisit Raila Odinga's bid. Some few months ago, Olusegun Obasanjo came into the country. At that time, the country was facing serious protest. Azimio were protesting against the government of William Samoei Arap Ruto. The country was literally burning. Then, Obasanjo announced in the presence of Raila Odinga that they were considering Raila Odinga as the next chair of the African Union Commission. The truth is, majority of Kenyans welcomed the move by the African Union or the former president of Nigeria to endorse Raila Odinga, and the entire country was united on one thing: pushing Raila Odinga's bid to become the chair of the African Union Commission. And for those who've been following the developments very closely, the way I've been following, it was very clear that Raila Odinga was headed for a win. But along the way, certain things started happening. At some point, there was a story that Jakaya Kikwete was also planning to bid. Of course, it was a propaganda by Uhuru Kenyatta's allies. So I've never understood why Uhuru Kenyatta is not keen on Raila Odinga going to the AU. The truth is, Uhuru is not keen because he wants Raila Odinga to run in 2027. But William Ruto, on his side, strongly believes that Raila Odinga should go to the AU. Because the moment Raila Odinga goes to the AU, William Ruto believed by that time there was no this By that time, Gen Zs had not emerged. He believed that the moment Raila Odinga was going to leave the country, then he was going to be able to do whatever he wanted. So he was really pushing for Raila Odinga. Then, all of a sudden, the Gen Zs happened. And at some point, I was also wondering whether Raila Odinga is keen on his bid or not. It was very clear that Raila Odinga was actually undecided. So yesterday, Raila Odinga was quoted to have indicated that he's even willing to forgo that bid if that bid is being used. Let me quote his own words, that I am ready to forgo my AUC ambitions for the sake of my country if this is being used to manipulate me at the expense of the quest for a better and stable country. You remember the day the Gen Zs really greeted Raila Odinga. And yesterday, another development happened in Tanzania, where the president fired their foreign affairs minister. I don't know whether he was fired or not, January Makamba. And the truth is, most people believe that the reshuffle in Tanzania was meant to pave way for January Makamba to launch his bid of becoming the next chair of the African Union Commission. I don't want to get into that for now. For now, I want to focus on why Raila Odinga is developing cold feet as a result of the pressure from the agencies. If you were to ask me, this is my honest opinion. If I were Raila Odinga, what I would have done, I would have concentrated on the African Union Commission chairmanship, because the elections in the next 5 February, that should be 5 or 6 months from now. Focus on it, campaign, move around Africa, win the seat. I mean, just forget about Kenyan politics, because the agencies have proven that they can handle that. If ODM cannot handle Kenyan politics, Raila Odinga doesn't need to have it. If Azimio cannot handle Kenyan politics in his absence, so if Raila Odinga would focus, win the seat, then think about 2027, Ukombele, but not now. So, but why do you think Raila Odinga is even now contemplating pulling out? Number one, the government of Kenya support. For Raila Odinga to become the chair of the African Union Commission, for him to bid, his name must be submitted by Kenya. And that's where the catch is. For Raila Odinga to vie, he must be endorsed. So which means Kenya will have to submit his name, which they've already done. Then comes the next phase, which is campaign. Again, the Kenyan government will be campaigning for him. Even during voting, Kenya has one vote, which he will actually need. So for the government to do all this, they also expect Raila Odinga to support them. And that's where Raila Odinga finds himself in. I want this seat, but the government must support me. And the government, for them to support me, I must also support them. So Raila Odinga is trying to find a middle ground. And that's where the problem is. Strategically, if Raila Odinga was a politician who would keep quiet, he would not have commented on so many things. Like that dialogue thing, he would not have commented on it. When he went to Bomas, he would have just witnessed the signing, left. Probably would have left Kalonzo or someone else to comment. Of course, even the appointment to the government, he would have just kept quiet. Let Ruto, let him do things, body appointed, blah, blah, submitted, things like those. But now, that government support is what is now forcing Raila Odinga to say, okay, if they are supporting me because they at the expense of Kenyans, then there's no need. In fact, Kenyans are even questioning why Raila Odinga would choose to go to AU when Kenya still needs him. Which takes me to the second reason why Raila Odinga is considering the reform credentials of Raila Odinga. You see, Raila Odinga has always been the face of the struggle in the Republic of Kenya. When his history will be written, it will be about the struggle and the reform for a better Kenya. Raila Odinga is currently 79 years old. All his life, he has stood for that. And then currently, there's a feeling that is in bed with the government, which for me might be a problem, but not necessarily a problem. They just needed to explain. But remember, this government, during this period of unrest, employed the abduction tactics. So many Kenyans were abducted in broad daylight. This angered Kenyans. You see, policemen just going to people's houses, arresting them. Policemen going to the streets, just pulling people, like what they did to Gaido. I mean, those things really escalated the situation. So Kenyans are very angry with those things. Huh? So many Kenyans have been maimed. Many are in hospitals. Many have lost their lives. Yeah? The police brutality is on another level. Then you want to tell people who love you that you want to work with that government. Their anger must explode. And that is why Raila Odinga is finding it very difficult. He can't really, he's conflicted. He can't really, because if you were to continue with William Ruto the way it's supposed to be now, then it's going to be viewed as someone who is just mindful of his interest, not the reform credentials. So for Raila Odinga to preserve his reform credentials, he must, as a matter of fact, put demands and hope that those demands will be acceptable to government and that they will implement them. The demands, the 6 demands he placed on the table yesterday. So the reform credentials of Raila Odinga, he doesn't want that reform credentials to be tainted. Number 3, Raila Odinga is also finding himself in a very tight corner, making a choice between Kenya and Africa. Because, you know, Raila wants to become the chair of the African Union Commission. There is no way Raila Odinga can become the chair of the African Union Commission if he can't solve local problems here, if he can't help William Ruto deal with the local issues here. So for me, Raila Odinga's intervention initially about agreeing to go public with William Ruto, talk about government, was because he wanted to please, in quotes, other African heads of states, so that he can go before them and tell them during interview that, you know, for me as the prime minister, as a former opposition leader, there were trouble in my country. This is how I managed to handle it. That's going to be difficult. Going to be very difficult. So, and of course, he must also be seen to be more interested in Kenyan politics. Kenyans expect Raila Odinga to solve Kenyan issues, not African issues. So Raila Odinga is finding himself in a very tight corner. Africa or Kenya. The verdict is leave it. Number 4 is the 2022 politics. You know, Raila Odinga really wants to go to the AU. He wants to work with the government. But at what cost? Majority of Kenyans believe that William Ruto's government has lost the popularity. So joining it at this hour is not making sense. And that's what they're telling Raila Odinga. Yeah? This is the right time to remove him. If you join him, you'll be swept. So Raila Odinga is finding himself in that 2027. Some telling him, Baba, you don't have to take that seat. Wait. Come and become the president. It's like you have a bird here, then you want to still use the same hand to pick another stone to kill another bird. Hii ingine itaenda. That's the situation that Raila Odinga finds himself in. And lastly is Uhuru Kenyatta revenge mission. You know, if there's one man who is giving William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government political headache, Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta has the money. He's a former president. You know, today is being accused of all manner of things. All manner of things. Uhuru Kenyatta was defeated by Ruto. He has not accepted. Uhuru Kenyatta is plotting a revenge. Uhuru Kenyatta believes that he can help William Ruto, that he can help Raila Odinga become the president of the Republic of Kenya in 2027. which I doubt. For me, I only doubt that because if Uhuru could not make Raila Odinga the president, when he was the president, receiving intelligence, what can you convince me that now that he's not the president, he can actually support Raila to become the president? I don't know what to think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. If you enjoyed this video up to this stage, kindly let me know in the comments section just by tapping present. Bye-bye.